You mean to tell me you guys conceded this was a sham right from the beginning? You really thought that he did something on January 6th like they claimed he did? Well, guess what?
Surprise, surprise. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah. Welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Ty Smith. You're watching my channel, Modern Renaissance Man, and greatly appreciated of you guys doing that. Make sure you're following me on all the platforms you see above and below. Hitting the thumbs up button is how my content can consistently be recommended to you and helps push it down the YouTube algorithm. If and when you do subscribe to the channel, make sure that you hit that bell notification. That way you will be notified when I post videos like this. To those of you who are my subscribers already, double check and make sure that you still are subscribed to the channel, because it's a good chance that you may not be, because they have somehow, some way, unsubscribed a lot of you from my channel, right? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not sitting there like, oh my God, I'm so happy about this. Oh, look, I told them. No, but I am going to rub the salt in those open wounds of you guys, because we tried to tell y'all. Jack Smith is moving to drop the charges against Trump for January the 6th. And ladies and gentlemen, this is really actually sad. I mean, it's sad, and it also is alarming. And I'll tell you guys why it is alarming after this.
Yeah, this was the right decision by the Department of Justice. As has been mentioned, we were expecting this, but this is because of DOJ's long-standing policy about not indicting / prosecuting a sitting president. And it looks like that Jack Smith's team did, in fact, seek the guidance of DOJ's Office of Legal Counsel, which is like the general counsel for the Department of Justice, in asking for these cases, the indictment to be dismissed. And OLC concluded that the prohibition on the federal indictment of a sitting president is, quote, categorical. And so that's why we knew this was coming. The Department of Justice made the right decision here, following longstanding policy, and also not just the policy, but it's also in the best interest of the country, given Donald Trump's resounding win just recently.
You know, Kerry, we knew that this was going to happen, so it's no surprise, but it is rather interesting to note that after all of this money that was spent, out of all of this time that was spent, all of the prosecutors and the attorneys that Smith had working for his office on these two cases, that it just gets summarily dropped because of two things: the Supreme Court decision about immunity, and the fact that a majority of Americans, more than 76 million, said they like Donald Trump. They don't care what he's accused of doing. They wanted him to be president.
But your question gets to the wisdom of even bringing this case in the first place. You have the January 6th cases, you have the classified documents cases. I've said this many times on air. Just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should. And there are all kinds of things that a prosecutor weighs. There are all kinds of things that an attorney general weighs. It's a lot more gray than people realize. Yes, you balance the law, but you also balance what is fair, and you also balance what is good for the health of a nation. When you are coming at a former sitting president and the possible future president, you have to be so incredibly careful, and you better hope, and your case, I should say, better be lock solid. I mean, there's no chance of it getting overturned. There's no novel legal theories, none of that. And in the January 6 cases, that just wasn't true. They were bringing untested legal theories. In other words, they were bringing the law against Donald Trump in a way that it had not been applied before. The Supreme Court addressed actually an aspect of the law that they were attempting to bring against both Donald Trump and all the January 6 defendants. And the Supreme Court said, hey, look, this law that you're using against Trump and these defendants, it's not a blank check that you can kind of insert and write into what you want it to be. And that happened in June. Then you had the Supreme Court immunity decision. And so, again, while, yes, to your point, $50+ million was spent, the reality is it didn't have to happen in the first place. And that's, going to be something debated, I think, by historians for a long time.
Kerry, thank you. Please do stay with us. Jonathan Turley going to jump into the conversation now. The breaking news that Special Counsel Jack Smith has asked the judge to dismiss this Trump DC case. Jonathan, also adding to this from our own Jake Gibson, that the Special Counsel Jack Smith's team also sought the guidance of the DOJ's Office of Legal Counsel, the OLC, concluded that the prohibition on the federal indictment of a sitting president is categorical. Jonathan, your reaction to the news?
Well, this is what we expected. I wrote over a year ago that there was a good chance Jack Smith would never see the inside of a courtroom for a trial in this case. It made this election the largest effective jury verdict in history by re-electing Donald Trump the special counsel found himself at odds with his own department's longstanding policy against the prosecution of a sitting president. But Smith did not go quietly into that night. I expect that he did get a lot of different opinions, hoping for the right one. But the OLC, this office that handles such questions, has long taken this position. So it would be doubtful that they would change it here. But, you know, Smith had a sort of a gratuitous end to his term. You know, he pushed not only for a trial before the election, and he pushed for months for that, but he also released damaging information before the election, something that many people saw as an effort to influence the election. Smith knew that if Trump won, he was out of a job. And this release of the information was entirely unnecessary. The judge admitted that it was procedurally irregular, but she went along with it. And I think that that did tarnish his position, and certainly in history, because he didn't have to do that. He had become so absolutely fixated on trying Trump before the election that he lost credibility, I think, with the courts. He went up to the Supreme Court. They didn't accept that that was the overriding consideration in looking at these legal issues. I think it's also very important to remember that Smith's case was riddled with constitutional problems. You know, when the Supreme Court reached its immunity decision, it was clear that he would have to pare down his indictment. He really didn't do it to the degree he needed to do. He took a very minimalist approach. He removed a few references, a few witnesses that stemmed from the first Trump presidency. But he largely just repackaged it. And some of us said that we thought that it was not enough, that if he ever did go to trial, he could be reversed just on that basis.
So after hearing all that, y'all gonna come up with all kind of nonsense. But let me get back to the point that I made before I jumped into this video, when I said it's kind of alarming. It's alarming that the news media can push out so much stuff and have it on a repetitious mode to where you, the average American or not so average American, believed it and ran with it. No matter how much evidence we showed you guys, no matter when we showed you where Trump tweeted out to go peacefully protest, I have no idea, well, yeah, I do, how you guys allowed the media to say, screw what the truth is, screw what evidence showed you, screw what Trump tweeted out and said, go down there, peacefully protest, let your voices be heard, backing the boys in blue, they're doing a great job, we're a party of rule and law and order, even when Trump actually came and said something afterwards for them to go home, Y'all was not given any leeway. Y'all did not care. All you guys cared about was the fact that you would be able to have something on Trump because you hate him so much. Insurrection. They even got to the point to where they couldn't even get insurrection right. They just kept on saying Trump incited an erection. I mean, my goodness, ladies and gentlemen. And so as I sit here, I'm not taking this like this is a victory. I'm taking this as you should be kind of in a mode where you're like, oh man, what the heck is going on? Because again, the psychological psyops that this narrative, that this rhetoric, that this globalist, elitist machine called media was able to infiltrate both hemispheres of your brain by repetitively putting the same message in the back, and without even giving any thought, you guys just he incited an insurrection. And now I guess your excuse is going to be, well, he wouldn't be able to do that if he wasn't becoming the president. If he wasn't becoming the president, Jack Smith would be able. It still would have had the same exact conclusion. It just would have drawn on and on and on, and Trump would have been found not guilty of it. You want to know why? Because he did nothing. We were telling you guys from the beginning that he did nothing. And again, I cannot reiterate how much it just amazes me that y'all see the tweet yourself. Well, he was speaking in code for white supremacy, and that's why all the white people were the ones that stormed the Capitol, and did it because Trump told them to. Come on, man. Let's get real. Let's seriously get real. You saw the tweets. You saw it. You know what? There ain't no convincing y'all. I'm not even trying to convince y'all, but I am going to tell you. I hope that salt in that wound that I'm rubbing in is burning. I hope those crystals from that Himalayan salt, the kosher salt, the iodine salt, I hope it's burning. I hope you are going crazy mad. I hope that you're going to have nightmares over. You want to know why? It's your own fault that you bought and you believed into the deceptive delusion that the media played on y'all. Be pissed at the media. Not the man the media put out to be the bad person. Be pissed at the ones who got you to believe in the deception. I'm done. Let me know what you guys all think by putting it in the comments below after this video. Don't forget to do what you guys see in that cloud right there. And if you would like to see the next video that I will be doing, it's going to be up here. Music reactions here. I am Ty Smith, Modern Renaissance Man, hoping and praying that every last one of you have food, shelter, and clothing. And most of all, I pray every last one of you guys are in great health mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. God bless you all through Jesus.